Alright, let's make sure everything's working. That looks about right. Excellent. So, I have a talk I'm giving on Monday, and it is half-written. Well, depends on your definition of half-written, I suppose. The outline is written. I know what I want to say, it's just not in slide format. So, it's time to translate it into slides, which means fighting the boss fight against Google Slides. The problem with this section is I know what I want to say in it, I'm just not sure what the right order is. I have a couple of things about this Google-related story that have to do with the amount of technical debt and have to do with how badly we did it converging on one solution, how badly we did it promoting people for doing the wrong thing. And I think maybe what I want to say is actually that we weren't bad people, right? That engineers weren't bad, they were just given the wrong incentives. So maybe okay, that feels okay. So that's Google's motto. This is Rackspace's motto. So I'm trying to show here that this is not just a Google problem, that other orgs also suffer from do whatever it takes in order to make the user happy without actually thinking about who the user is and why we're making them happy. Okay. So Chrome polishing, not admitted here, make projects. I wonder whether Chrome polishing and make work projects are the same. Yeah, they actually are the same. You can trim slide, trim slide. Later we need to allude to thinking about, is this the highest impact thing I could be doing? Okay. The other challenge I'm going to have once I'm done with all of the text is I'm going to have to go through my library of Emily Griffin illustrations to see which ones of them match this and what I'm going to have to ask her for new illustrations of. But that is not a problem for right now because the text needs to come first. Text first, then art. Because otherwise you wind up with art that you don't use because it doesn't actually match any text that you have. Okay. Chrome polishing, not invented here. I think people understand not invented here first. Actually, let's make this bigger for readability's sake. Can I make the template actually do this for the speaker notes? Let's try that, because I hate having to edit my templates all over the place. Edit, yeah, nope, that's not it. No, there's no way to globally edit all of your speaker note formatting. That's hella annoying. Really, really, really annoying. That sucks. Okay. shame that Scott Adams doesn't suck as a person, or else I would reference the number of bugs fixed comic, but unfortunately Scott Adams sucks as a person, and therefore I am not going to reference him. Okay. Assuming you are a platform engineer or SRE, which is the crowd of people at Mondrama, let's be real. That duped the speaker note. Okay, I know exactly what image I'm using for that. Let's just quickly do that. Oops. Where is this? I need 1 second. Let me not accidentally dox myself. Oh good, I did not in fact accidentally dox myself. That's the risk of accidentally projecting your Dropbox. But fortunately I haven't accessed that particular folder recently, so that's fine. Okay. So, I need this Emily Griffin illustration. Yep, that's it. Does that work? Yep, okay, that's the full res one. So, I really wish Dropbox integrated with Google Slides better. Fine. Do it the hard way. Do it the freaking hard way. Cool. In fact, I know which image I'm using for this as well. Yay! I love getting to work with the same artist because it means that I get to reuse her illustrations. Joys of juggling, working on this and also being the first engineer awake for Honeycomb is that I also do customer support in the mornings, so I may need to task switch to that in a second, but that's fine. Okay. I want to convey that it's not just that I tried this thing, it's that I adapted something existing and made it work. Okay, accent color is that accent color, that looks fine. Cool. Oh yay, Molly, our customer success engineer, is awake. That's excellent. That means that I don't have to deal with this and streaming at the same time. Okay, let's make that nice and colorful. My goal with slide design is to, in general, make sure that people only have to read 2 sentences out of, or 2 words out of every slide, and I only put 1 sentence in every slide. Used to have a bad habit of putting, like, sentences, plural, on slides, but I got myself out of that habit, so I'm pretty happy about that. Actually, you know what? Let us turn off Slack notifications. How do I temporarily turn off Slack notifications? Preferences. Like, Slack needs some kind of a... Slack needs some kind of mode that's literally like, please turn off notifications for now. I can do it on an individual workspace, but I can't do it. I can't do it globally, unfortunately, I think. Notification preferences, automatically disable notifications. Okay. You know what? We're just going to do that really fast. Sorry, you can't actually see this. It's deliberate. Okay, that's fine. Oh, there it is. Pause notifications for 4 hours. Sold. Okay, notifications are turned off for 4 hours. There we go. Much better. Cool. Okay. So, where were we? How do I segue between these sections? I need to talk about, so we're talking about what we're trying to accomplish. And I need to, okay, so that needs a slide for, so you have a problem. Okay, don't roll your own. Here I can probably even say the thing that we've used to say at Google, which is look left and right. Okay. Excellent. Cool. What makes for a good success case? It's not just how to reproduce. This was our problem. How to reproduce our solution. Here's how much work I saved. Okay. Code is not the answer to everything. Great. The other thing I meant to get to in this section was talk about open source software, talk about talking to other people for advice. need source exists, vendors exist. Coworkers code exists, because sadly at large enough companies every problem has been solved 5 or 10 times already over. Okay, so open source exists. The question is, how do I position it relative to... Oh, right. So these 3 slides need to go here. Yep, okay, now this flows. Stop glorifying creating new things. Open source exists, your coworkers code exists, vendors exist. Okay, that seems fine. Really shouldn't have an exclamation mark on it. It's not as exciting as it seems. Okay. Cool. What was I trying to say here? I tend to jump around a little bit because I tend to have random thoughts about different sections. That way I never really get bored because there's always something to work on at any given time. Okay, how do I make our orcs better? Let's see. Right, I didn't get the point about code you run is tech dead. stream code that isn't just in your fork. Shout out to a named finance company running Kubernetes fork. I'll have to see whether I can get permission from a named finance company to be named here. I suspect they will not take too kindly to it. Not just Cochairing. I think the other element that I might steal slides from is a bit about document, collaborate and upscale, foster Cochairing, new user studies. User studies actually come first. I feel like that roughly covers what I intended to talk about there. Give back to the community. Soonest unpacks. Upstream your code. Find other containers. Single company projects are doomed. Failure. Doomed, I say, doomed. Okay. Find other maintainers. Use common idioms. Don't need 10 different ways to say span or annotation or exemplar. People change companies all the time. Let's not make them relearn how to report concept. Oh god, is my OBS putting random flashing into my stream again? Why? OBS, why? This is so frustrating. Okay, I cannot debug that right now. That is not the task that I'm currently doing. See. Write technical decision documents. To do. Shout out here to the amazing talk by Rod, I think, of Dropbox paper from lead dev NYC. Okay. Look left, right, evaluate other solutions, reduce your workload. Just reduce your workload. Is that the right pithy statement? I feel like that's not quite the right pithy statement yet. Oh, interesting. The flashing happens when I scroll up and down. I wonder whether the flashing happens if I just page up. Let's find out. Be interesting to find out. Oop, nope. The flashing happens even when I press page up and page down. But as long as the video stream is relatively still, it doesn't do that. Weird. Okay. How do I talk about up-leveling your coworkers? Because that's really what this is about. How do we up-level our coworkers? What's a one-word statement? I don't know. I'm going to leave it like that until I can think of a better word for it. It's not just teaching, because This is the same problem I run into with thinking about developer relations, right? Like, developer relations is about listening to the community as much as it is about teaching the community, so it's not teaching. This is the part of talk writing where I just shake my fist angrily in the air, and then I go and turn to another slide until I come up with a better idea. Retainers. That uses the shade of green. Others know whether your solution is the right solution for them. Don't make other people waste time evaluating the thing if it isn't going to work for them. Cool. Modified something separate fork, which I talked about earlier a little bit. Yeah, I don't know why my screen is flickering. It's hella annoying, and I don't know how to stop it. Let me see. Capture cursor, advanced settings, X server. No, that doesn't help. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with OBS. So we're just gonna have to live with it. Okay. Global pattern of... Oh, interesting. When I type, it flickers. Has it stopped flickering now that I'm not typing? No, it's still flickering. Oh. Interesting. It stops flickering when I don't have a mouse, a cursor blinking. Okay, let me try this. It'll make it maybe harder to understand, I don't know. Let's try turning off capture cursor, see whether that helps. Okay, is that better? Nope. Nope, still doing it. Arg! Hate this so much. Ah! That seems helpful. Yep. Yep. Screen capture, set up window capture. Yeah, but I've done window capture for Chrome before, and it actually renders a black screen, which doesn't actually help. Okay, I don't know how I'm solving this. Sorry. That really sucks. This goes with upstream your code. Okay, explain your full context. Don't jump. Exodus. No decision. Use common idioms. Yep. Okay. Cool. Common idioms. Don't jump access. Explain your full context. Is there a way to drag out this color palette? I really almost want this color palette to sit off to the side so I can just click the color picker and be done with it. Okay. What am I going to do about this up-level your coworkers thing? It's... Yeah, I think it's collaboration. I actually think this is the exact same orange text I had in my other on my other slide deck of collaborating, except for it's collaborating within your company. That feels okay. Collaborate within your organization, user studies document. Okay. Have an upskill, Cochairing. Listen versus to user studies document. Yep. Side note, documentation means working examples. People copy the first instance they find of a I've used the collaborate word previously now. Should be empowered to improve the tools that they work on rather than treating them as black boxes. Good morning, Necro Buffalo. Yeah, y'all are getting an early preview of my talk, or at least my drabbles of thought. Cool. How does this relate to the thing I mentioned about working examples? It's different from working examples. Kind of more goes to the point about upskilling, because how was I going to say this? So learn about solutions in other organizations. Ah, okay, that's how that works. Feel comfortable adopting code from each other. Okay, so this one is about learning from other parts of the org. The previous slide was about if you're a consumer of a tool, you should be empowered to extend the tool. Extend. There also is the bit here about, when we talk about upskilling, we also need to think about how do we train each other. An active users community is a force multiplier. Shout out to honeycomb pollinators. Okay. Good. Good. First, user studies, talking to write examples, Cochairing. That needs a word highlighted. We're going to highlight this word. Okay. Everything else has been phrased as a imperative sentence, so I should make this an imperative sentence, otherwise this doesn't flow correctly. So instead of saying this is a technical decision document, I'm going to say document technical decisions. There. Okay. So now... So this leads to the go pattern of RFCs, PEPs, the happy PEPs, not the sad PEPs. Okay. Okay, cool. Excellent. Now, okay, great. Community, exclamation mark, not colored. Okay. Share code. Okay. Let's see how I'm doing with this. So, it's the abstract. Oh, I didn't talk about ask the consultant to design it for us. I should probably do that. Maybe it's the inverse. Just trust the consultants. Lack of autonomy, lack of control over the tools they use. Too much autonomy over the tools that we build. Because there is such a thing as too much autonomy. Okay. Cool. I feel like I haven't kind of gotten the Seussian thing I was going for. I was trying to go for a little bit of Dr. Seuss in here, and I feel I haven't actually delivered on that promise yet. I might need to insert bad puns, but let's get the skeleton of the talk right first. Okay, do we need this? I don't think I need this. I think it's covered by the next slide. Always like to delete slides. Deleting slides is good. So you have a problem. Don't roll your own. So I want to kind of virtually animate crossing that out. So we'll do it that way. Format, text, strike through. Good. This talk is aiming for, that's a good question. This talk is aiming for 3 talks in this block of 90 minutes, which means about 25 minutes, 25 to 27 minutes. However, I know people say 1 slide per minute of the talk, but I talk a lot. I go through slides really quickly, such that each slide is typically one 15 to 20 second soundbite. So right now I'm sitting at 60 slides, so I probably need to add a few more slides, add the images, and then kind of rethink the flow of the talk. Okay. Cool. What was our problem? Solve it. So much work I saved. Yeah, okay, but that comes later. Oops, wrong color. Okay. What's your problem? How do we solve it? How can you do it too? This is how much work we saved. Okay. Okay. I don't want to talk about this twice. I talk about the problem briefly, but then I explain here that the problem needs to be carefully defined in terms of your customers and not in terms of you. What problem are customers having? Opposite of the blameless, respective, infinite house of all spa where we really do want to ask. He prefers hell. Okay. Who will run it? Who will run it? Who will maintain it? Cool. Someone did a really great guide of how they came to pick GCP. I think it was Etsy who did the case study of how they picked GCP over Amazon and Azure. Okay. Okay. This needs a more powerful closer, and I don't know what. Running software is tech debt. Oh. Running software is tech debt, but even worse. There. Okay, that's a good section segue. That makes sense now. New code is tech debt, running software is tech debt, but building the wrong thing is ruinous. So, how do you avoid building the wrong thing? Collaborate. Okay, that vehicle's okay. That feels okay. That needs to not be colorful. It just needs to look like that. Ah! But not like that. Like, this. There we go. Cool. I feel like I kind of want to say this, but I don't want to be too pitchy. Is this an existential, a strategic advantage to my company to build this? Not, you shouldn't be building it. Okay. That feels fine. Cool. Okay, let's go back and review the outline. Yes, the section markers on the side are a very deliberate thing. This is actually work done in collaboration with a visual design studio that Honeycomb hired to help me out in my first week, which was really awesome. So the overall slide template with these little pieces of art and with this sidebar is something that a agency did for me in my first week at Honeycomb that I've now been reusing. And I'm really happy about it because it makes my life as a presenter easier. The question will be, one day I'll not have a presentation that is 5 sections, but so far every presentation I've written has had 5 sections, so I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. Did that, so that's fine. Oh, I didn't talk about project work versus ops. I should talk about ops here. Maybe not doing too much ops, and not just our team, but ensuring no team has to do too much ops. Okay, good. Okay, that's covered now. Great. Talk about resumes in glory. Let's see that. Or resume / promo driven development. Cool. All right. Yeah, so I think we need to talk about sometimes the customer is you, sometimes it is another engineering team, and sometimes it is an end user. Okay. Let's see. Insert something here about the Song of Sisyphus. To us Recon Americas 2019. For the people who don't know this particular story is where there was an internal tool. It was common tooling shared between a bunch of different teams at Google, but everyone ran their own instance of it, and good God, did that lead to all kinds of pain. Pain in the code sense. Is this a collection of random features, or is this one coherent product with one maintained code base? I talked about alternatives considered, I talked about maintenance plans, talked about the community, comms idioms, sure designs, yep, that's fine, I did that. Okay. That's done. I didn't talk about success means you get to walk away. Let's put something about that aspirationally here, maybe at the end. Freedom to walk away or move on. Have the world go on without us. Okay. Okay. Cool. I think that's fine. All right, talked about make away your previous job. Okay, open source exists. I almost feel like I don't need to review this. Like, when I was originally thinking of this, the way that I was doing this was in order to avoid being vendory, but now that I've written the talk, I don't actually think I need to put open source software logos in order to avoid having this feel vendory. So I think that's fine. So I feel like I've kind of changed the don't roll your own section a little bit better. Does this bit of slides belong here? Or does this belong down here? I feel like we need I feel like there's a reason that I put it here, even though it doesn't match the section heading. I don't know. I'm gonna have to mull on that for a little bit. Okay, we'll think about that. Don't do the same thing at your company 20 times. Maybe your Google 3 times is enough to account for all possible use cases. Excellent. Okay. Source exists. Your coworker's code exists. And vendors. Okay, I know how to structure this better. Okay. Okay, now I think I see how to do this better. Okay, yeah, I just had that slightly wrong, so I think that if I do it like this, it flows better. Let's run through that. So you have a problem, you want to solve it. And you don't want to screw up in the same way as Google did. So let's change the incentives. Instead of look at this thing in duct tape, look at the success case. What was the problem? How did I solve it? How can you do it too? Here's work I saved. Not how much code I wrote. And that means using open source, using your coworkers' code, and using vendors. Great. Okay, now that flows better because now it says, okay, but I'm trying to pick between doing these 3 things versus creating a new. What do I do? No, really, Liz, tell me what to do. But I can't because your situation is unique. That needs to be a purple word. Adept. New code is tagged and running software is tagged Wrong thing is ruinous. Collaborate. Yep. Okay, this section feels too short now. This section needs more meat to it. That's fine. I can give it more meat. Okay. Shout outs to Gwendolyn's talk on product requirements documents from SRECon 19 Americas, as well as the other product thinking talks. And I am super glad that Mike from Betsy and I put together a mini track on SRE's product design, because that was one of the things I'm proudest about in terms of changing the SRE conversation. Okay, yeah, this needs more. Collaborate within, listen first to user studies. What else is there? Talked earlier about looking left and right. What options did you consider? But I feel like that needs more exposition here somehow. How do I do that? Okay. Just requirements gather for your own use case. Requirements gather for related use cases too. That feature creep is a bugbear. Press on extendability. Possible. Okay. That seems fine. Listen first. Better. Okay. This shows similar problems. And what can you do? Come up with. Even it's not your own code. Other people want an example of foobar running at fastco. Okay. That seems better. Okay. Maybe you'll find a pre-existing solution that way. Cool. That seems good. Okay. problem. Interesting incentives. Okay. This includes other engineers. I feel like I've talked about this elsewhere too. And you can be your own customer. Okay. What does that mean? Okay. Great. Engineering does not mean writing software. Writing software is checked at. I talk about this theme elsewhere. I'm going to just delete this slide. I don't need it. Also, why is this slide purple? This should not be a purple slide. Goodbye. Okay. Focus on human machine scalability. Here it's appropriate to say a misguided project can provide the opposite scalability. Okay, that seems fine now. Hashtag include standard SLO.h. Okay. All right, now we can go back and check. Once you build by hybrids, write down what you're trying to do. Solutions, alternatives considered, maintenance plan, TCO. Yep, that's fine. I did that. True back, specs, interfaces, idioms. Oh, I didn't talk about open census and open tracing. I should do that. Where am I? I am here. Common idioms. Yay for open census, open tracing, and open consensus. Okay. Yar. It's done. Okay. I hope I've actually achieved that with this presentation. This seems fine. Okay, Christine, our CEO, gave me some feedback. I did that. Cost of ownership to whom? Yes, I didn't talk about that. I do need to talk about that. TCO. Skill each other. Yep. Total. You think about the clumsy workarounds people will put on their own that slow them down if you push work onto your users. Cool. Okay, Christine's comment has been addressed. With non-experts, stop navel gazing. Okay. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so we need to. I need a sentence here. About not celebrating complexity. Don't glorify creating complexity. Don't glorify. Okay. This doesn't feel right. This needs something different. How can you do it too? Okay. Okay, cool. That seems fine. Okay, I'm generally happy with this outline now. What I think I'll do next is I will quickly give it a sentence or two per slide run through, not as if I were giving it for real, but kind of as if I were giving it for real. And then after that, I will start adding illustrations, but I'm feeling better about this presentation now that I've kind of sat through it and paged through it a couple of times to make sure it flows okay. Okay, so let's give this a shot. And then in 35 minutes, I'm going to page over and start rebroadcasting the stream of my design collaborator, Danielle, who is talking about Bubble Up, which is a really cool and awesome thing for kind of not quite ML for identifying things that are wrong with your system. Okay, so trade-offs to make. Did I actually talk about trade-offs here? I feel like I did talk about trade-offs, right? Like I talked about in particular the trade-off of what we're trying to do here. Okay, cool. All right, let's go. So, blah, 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 something, intro. Once upon a time, I worked at Google, and we had 20 ways to do anything. And this really sucked because it made it very difficult to actually get anything done. How did we get there? Well, we started from the idea of focusing on the user and everything else will follow, or kind of in Rackspace's words, fanatical support. And unfortunately, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. No one was intending to introduce technical debt, and yet we wound up with 20 solutions. Why? Because we had the wrong incentives. Because we promoted people who wrote design docs and promoted people who wrote new code and talked about how complex was their code. And furthermore, we had a problem of not invented here syndrome, where people thought that only Google-built solutions would work at Google scale. And even only Google search-built solutions would work at Google search scale. Never mind those silly Google Apps people, they don't know what they're doing. So the other problem was that people didn't really have a keen product sense. People didn't have an idea of what the most impactful work they could be doing was. Instead, they kind of focused on chrome polishing, on polishing the thing that they knew best in order to make their resume look as good as possible, because they weren't really focusing on the big picture. They didn't think about what's the highest impact thing that I could be doing. But I've also seen at other companies the inverse, where people feel a lack of autonomy over their tools, where they have their consultants or their dev team hand them tools and say, the executives have decreed that we're using tool X, and this is the tool that we're using, and you can just deal with it. So both of these are pathological cases, but I think that we could do with a more recent conversation about how do we actually build tools that solve real user problems. In order to do that, we have to step back and talk about what the goals are. What are we trying to do as infrastructure engineers, monitoring engineers, or as site reliability engineers? And I would argue that what we're trying to do is we're trying to make our systems appropriately reliable and scalable, and appropriately observable. Appropriately observable. This is why we run through things. Find slides that we are missing. We need to make systems appropriately observable. And this takes many different forms. In particular, we have to think not just about the machine scalability, can I scale up the system 10x, but also can I scale the system up 10x without my engineers burning out? And I have to think about, okay, machine scalability. Okay, what's missing here? Human machine scalability. All teams. Okay. Let's try running it again, see whether that goes better. So we have to take a step back. We have to think about what we're trying to do as infrastructure monitoring engineers. That's fun. Okay, so what we need to do is appropriate reliability and scalability. In order to achieve that, we also need appropriate observability. Observability. Great. Okay, I can words. Feels like that doesn't quite belong. Where does that go? That needs to go somewhere in this talk, but I'm not sure it goes there. Okay. So what's your goal as monitoring engineers? We are observability engineers. We're trying to get appropriate observability. Why do we want appropriate observability? Because it helps us get appropriate reliability and scalability. Perfect. Okay, now that flows. Why to say appropriate? Insert standard SLO.h. Okay, cool. So when we talk about scalability, we need to talk about the machine scalability. We also need to think about the human scalability of if I scale up the system 10x, do all of my engineers burn out? How complex is the system? And if you do things wrong, then you get the opposite of scalability because one dimension breaks. And when we do this engineering work, we need to think not just about our own team, but we also need to think about engineering for all of the teams and roles, right? Our goal is not to shovel work across the fence, because that takes us back to the bad old days before DevOps. Shoveling work across the fence reproduces the bad old days before DevOps. Okay. Engineering for all teams. Cool. Okay, so we have to do our engineering for all teams, because otherwise we wind up reproducing the bad old days of DevOps. Sure, it doesn't matter if my team isn't scaling. I can hire 10 times as many sysadmins, and it doesn't matter how burnt out they get, right? Like, that's fine. Okay, but what's missing here is that engineering here does not necessarily mean writing software. That our as engineers is to design systems well, and sometimes that means that we don't have to write a single line of code. Because, in particular, great engineers borrow, in Steve Jobs' words. Steve Jobs actually said steal, but I'm nicer than that. Great engineers borrow, and that borrowing sometimes is the most efficient way of getting things done. Okay, I put this slide earlier. I don't need this here anymore. Great, okay. So, great engineers borrow, and... Fuck. How does this work? A coworker is asking, why does my stream require you to put in your age? And the answer is because it's marked mature, because I sometimes say the word fuck. So that's why. If you have your stream marked as not mature on Twitch, then you can get banned for saying the word fuck. I have very little control, at least in a casual setting, over whether or not I swear. On stage, I tend to not swear, except for dramatic purposes, but kind of in a rehearsed situation like this, I am going to swear, so that's why the stream requires age verification. Okay. Engineer Sparrow. Okay. Great. Actually, I think this slide is fine. This slide needs to just go somewhere else. Engineering is not writing software. Engineering for all teams. Human scalability. Okay. You are a scaling unit yourself. Don't make a system that depends on cloning yourself. Okay, now I feel like that's okay. Let's try that again. Let's run this section again. And this is what my talk rehearsals look like. My talk rehearsals look like going back and forth through sections, not necessarily running it through, just making sure things flow. Okay. So, blah, blah, blah. Our goal here is, as platform engineers or SREs or observability engineers, well, you might think our goal is to write observability and instrumentation, but it's not quite true. Why are we doing that? We're doing that because we want appropriate reliability and scalability for our services, and that means two things. It means that our systems don't technically break when you scale up the number of machines, but it also means that humans don't burn and break out. And you need to keep yourself in mind that, you may feel all important having designed this inscrutable system that only you understand, but it turns out that even though you feel important, you've made a system that does not scale. You need to make your system scale beyond yourself. And not only that, you can't scale your system by just shoveling work onto other teams. Our goal is to make all of our teams work better, and not just our own. So we can't reproduce the bad old days before DevOps. But all of that has nothing to do with writing software. The art of engineering does not necessarily mean that you have to write code. Instead, sometimes it means borrowing something, adapting something, and making it work in order to make your life easier and make your coworkers' lives easier. And yes, this is Steve Jobs' quote, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you have a problem, and you would like to figure out how to solve it. And you'd like to solve it in a way that makes sense and doesn't introduce excess complexity. Great. Well, let's change the incentives so you don't wind up like Google, where you wind up having 20 different solutions. So it used to be that you'd say, hey, look at this cool thing that I duct taped. Congratulations, now go promote me. Well, it turns out that's not so great. So maybe instead of doing that, we need to talk about, here's the success case, right? What was the problem we were trying to solve? Was it an important problem? How much pain was there? Who was suffering pain? And how did we solve it? And how can other people make use of our solution? Why is this not a one-off that's never going to get maintained or adopted? So we cannot glorify creating complexity. We have to think about how much work did we save, not how much code we wrote. So think. Look left and right. Does open source solve your need? Does your coworkers' code solve your needs? Maybe this problem has been solved at your company before. Maybe at a company Google scale, you can have 3 solutions, but you probably still shouldn't have 20 solutions. And finally, some of us work at lovely vendors who are dedicated to solving this problem as our business specialty, and maybe it doesn't make sense for you to build it if it's not a strategic advantage to your company. Great. But, all this is complex, Liz, tell me what to do. Should I build? Should I buy? Should I use open source? I can't tell you. You gotta decide that yourself. Your own situation is unique. And that begins with asking, what problem are you solving? And not even what problem are you solving, but what problem are customers having? What's the pain point? And sometimes you are the pain point, sometimes another engineering customer is your pain point, and sometimes it is indeed your end users that are having pain. And you have to think about, why, right? Like, to not just solve the surface problem, to not just build a faster buggy, but instead to actually, build a car, right? To keep on asking why until you figure out what's the generalizable problem that I'm solving, so that you're not just solving the immediate problem, but instead solving a long-term problem. And then you have to think about the maintenance costs, right? Like, who's going to run it? Because it turns out that even if you design one simple solution, if you expect everyone to have their own instance, that's going to create more pain and complexity. You have to think about who's going to maintain it from a product and code sense. Is this a bunch of random features? Are people randomly agglomerating? Or is there actually a product roadmap? Is there a maintained code base? And what options do you consider? And can you make public kind of what your criteria were? can someone else, have enough information to agree or disagree with your decision to either adopt or build or buy? And maybe it's not going to be just one thing. That's okay. It's okay to shove two different things together and have them coexist. It's okay to have an existing solution that you just need to extend a little bit. Because when you write new code, you're introducing tech debt, and you are adding more load for a future replacement for yourself that now has to sit and maintain this code. And even if it's extending an existing project, if it's not merged upstream, it still is your code to run and your code to rebase, and oh my god, that sucks. See also, name company running a Kubernetes fork. And even if you're not, even if you get it merged upstream, should you really be running it, or can you get someone else to run it? Because patching stuff and keeping stuff up to date really sucks. But, even more important than running software or writing your own is, are you building the right thing? Because if you build the wrong thing, it's ruinous. So you have to make sure you're actually solving the right problem. Collaborate within your organization, do user studies, look left and right. Okay, that seems like that flows. Document, provide examples. Once you have something working, because people will want to copy it, and you want people to copy it done the right idiomatic way rather than some hacky way. And even if it's open source software, that goes doubly so. People look for real examples of their coworkers using software before they go and reinvent their own, so make sure it's done correctly. Good. And work on upskilling each other and making sure that people feel empowered to change the code that influences their software. Your TCO includes user confusion. Good. Okay. Share your tools and code with each other. Make sure that people know about solutions going on in other parts of your org. And then finally, we need to talk about what we do as a community. Hi, Monderama. We need to not have different idioms for the same thing. Don't have two different languages, right? Like, we shouldn't talk about counters engages and then have some other solution that uses counters engages in all but name. Don't just dump hacks at each other, right? If you're going to talk about something, make sure you're actually committed to help people be successful with it. And explain, what were you trying to solve so that other people can decide, is this the right thing for me to adopt or extend? And upstream your code, right? Like, if you modded something, don't maintain that separate fork. If you are creating an entire new open source project, make sure you find someone else who gets value out of it so that you can collaborate on it together. And document your technical decisions, have an RFC process, so that you can actually have a multi-vendor development strategy rather than just having it be one person calling the shots for everything. In the end, success means getting yourself out of the picture, not being a hero. Automate away your previous job. So define your goals, write less software. Look around, evaluate what's there, collaborate, discover your requirements, and share with the community. Thank you. Okay, cool. I think I'm happy enough with that. I'm probably going to work on it over the next week, but I think this is in solid enough shape that I can now attach images, and I can now ask Emily to come up with all of the illustrations for things that are missing. So yeah, that is my talk development process. Is I start with an outline, or I start with an idea, I write a bunch of angsty words on a Google Docs page, and then I wind up writing out what are my sections, and then I fill in these sections, and then I kind of think through the flow, and then I write it out. So that is my Monderama Portland talk, which you've all now had a little preview of. So, let's see. What can I use? Once upon a time. This one. This one is gonna go great. Download. Oh, nice. Hey, that actually works. Well, that makes my life slightly easier. Okay. How do I center this like that? Or send it back? Once upon a time. Yep. Once upon a time, Arctic Google, there are 20 ways of doing anything. Focus on the user. This needs something with the magnifying glass. Focus on the user. Do I have a user? I must have a user somewhere. Yeah, that'll be fine. Let's use that one and see whether that one works. Okay. should really learn my keyboard shortcut. Focus on the user. Fanatical support. Hey, Fred. Let's see, fanatical support. Ah, that is the one that I'm using for that. That is 100% the one I'm using for that. I love satirically using this image. It's the most awesome image ever. Ah! No. Okay. Order Control Shift down. Ah, that's down and not. Okay. Control Shift down. Q. Okay. It's the inverse, that doesn't need a slide. Polishing. Okay, this one. Okay. Nomadic ones. Thank you, I don't want your upsell. Let's see. How do I download this? Oh, maybe I have to open it. Why is... It turns out the only thing worse than when you're complaining about your own product's UX is when you complain about other products' UX. Other people suffer is hell. Okay, that needs to be smaller. Unvetted here. Make that a little bigger. Alright, it has been embiggened. Okay. Okay, fanatical support. How can I do fanatical support? Oh, I can do the support. Person with a phone. Where's the person with the phone that Emily drew for me? This one. Yep, it'll do. Still a little too big. Shrink it a little. Oops, now too small. Ah, that sucks when that happens. Okay. You still can't read that. That's fine. No, I think the person's head is not cut off. Good. Okay. Actually, maybe that goes here. Okay, so then what do I need for focus on the user? Do I have a magnifying glass somewhere? Just a magnifying glass? I swear I have a magnifying glass somewhere in here. I just may need to crop it. Oh. Okay, I can edit this to taste and have that work. That'll be fine. All right. Let's see. Also, why is my Slack notifications going off? I did not see that go by. Oh, okay, that's the channel that's going off. Cool. Okay, so let's download this, and then I need to modify it. Just going to take that file, open, recent, nope, open, Download sneaky bug. And I think what I need to do is I need to get just this. That looks about right. Image, crop to selection, and then I need to take the eraser to that. There's got to be a better way. I'm not an artist. You can tell I'm not an artist. Okay. Fine. Export as focus.jpg. Done. Okay. Ta-da! Oops, I didn't want to close that. Insert image, upload from computers, focus. There, that looks pretty good. It actually looks pretty good even though I kind of zoomed out on a bunch. Okay. That does need to be smaller though, slightly. Focus on the user. Financial support. So I'm going to reorder these. Financial support. Focus on the user. Needs to hell. That almost needs to be modified with like a, oops, we actually wound up not in happiness, but okay, I'll consider what to do with that later. Okay. Road to hell is paved with good intentions because you get the wrong incentives. How do I get the incentives? Calipers. Calipers, we measure things. Let's try that. Okay. That seems fine. Wrong incentives. Cool. Chrome polishing. Okay, this one does need a new. Also, let me mute that other channel for 2 hours. Cool. Okay. It's in where's stress influence. So what's our goal? Goal, I have a target symbol. Let's use that target symbol. Yep, that's it. Download, and then put that here. And then I think I was left aligning these. No, it looks weird. Okay, center. Is there center? There. Okay, that seems fine. What's our goal? Appropriate observability. I can reuse the, where's my fancy O? I have a fancy O somewhere. Under superhero, there's S and O, there's superhero O. Perfect. Cool. Turns out if you give talks that roughly talk about the same thing, you wind up actually needing pretty similar artwork for them. Great. Appropriate observability, appropriate reliability and scalability. Okay. So now, download the SLO here. Oh, I might actually not need to have Emily scrambling on my behalf. That'll be nice. Machine scalability, so let's have... Where is the engineer getting paged? I want the engineer getting paged. Where is the engineer getting paged? Noisy alerts, that one. Yep, that's it. So, human. go. Something like that. Just manage for attention. Engineering is for all teams. I have, I swear, a table of people talking to each other somewhere. I use this as my closing slide, so that's not the right one. Debugging everyone. No. Where are the people sitting at the table? I swear I have people sitting at a table somewhere. Pairing, no. Ah, team at table. It's almost like it has the name table in it somewhere. Great. Okay. Ah. Cool. Okay. Engineering for all teams. Engineering is not writing software. To reuse that here, or do I want to reuse something else here? That's the question. Engineers Pro. So you have a problem. That one's pretty obvious. That one's just the someone debugging a bug. Where's the bug? Oh, right, it's this one. So, you have a problem. Okay, change the incentives, so I think I can... change the incentives, that just needs the person having, the manager having an idea. Okay. What's the right graphic for this one? Do I have an existing graphic? That one I might need to get help with. That'll do. That'll actually do. That will do nicely. How do I talk about not writing software? Is this the right way of encoding it? That might be. Let's roll with that and see how that goes. The art is from @EmilyWithCurls. She is one of the people that I collaborate with on my presentations. She is a phenomenal artist. She is actually available for hire if you have your own presentations that you are working on. So I love working with her. She's really, really fantastic, and okay, good. That works. That works. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I know the perfect thing for duct taping. That is the giant who can't walk. Yep. Cool. All right. where's the happy engineer? So I should use the befuddled manager somewhere. Where's the befuddled manager? I need a befuddled manager here. Okay, I'm actually going to maybe not this image. All right. This is kind of almost the fun part of it. Part of this is once I have the words, getting the images. Engineer having realization. Engineer having idea. This one. Cool. So in about 5 minutes, I'm going to switch over and start, and we'll go and raid my coworker Danielle, who's getting ready to talk about Honeycomb's approach to machine learning. But in the meanwhile, I will be continuing to add these images. Where is the circle? I swear I have a circle somewhere. There. Iterate arrows. This one. And I don't like how that... Let's squish that a little. There we go. Glorify creating complexity. That's just reusing the chaos slide. Okay. Some. Cool. All right. I think I'm going